Hello there, so here we are in England. We're experiencing incredibly hot weather and it's going on for a really long time. In fact, for the first time, an English person has no right to whine or complain about having a cold, wet summer because they ain't having it. It's incredibly hot and things are really drying out, so most particularly when you go into woodland I notice just how hard the ground is beneath my feet. And I've been into woodland where I've seen the nettles starting to droop because it's just too much. However, it's all been put into sharp perspective for me today because I've received a letter from my sister-in-law who lives in Corsica, and she says that this is the worst summer she's experienced for 35 years, and she lives completely off-grid in a little cottage. Just got a cellar, a sitting room and a bedroom. When she wants to go to the toilet, she goes outside and picks up the pickaxe and she axes a hole in the ground, and that's how she goes to the toilet. And her water comes from the river, and she has problems every year with the water because she puts a pipe in the river and the water flows down the pipe, but then there's a storm comes along and it just smashes the pipe, breaks it, whatever. So I've known about this for years, the problems she has in real terms about her supply of water, but it's never been this bad. And it's reached a situation that carrying the water down for the horse is a major undertaking. 30 litres a day, regardless of how she's feeling, it's got to be done. And then she was talking about the effects upon herself and how she's rationing water herself, and she talked about the animals and the birds. And the wild boar would never go right up to her house, but they do now. So desperate for any fragments, any drops of water from any source at all. And normally if she was to step out of her house, any wild boar were nearby, they would run off, but they don't. They hang around, hoping they're going to receive some watery bounty. So that's the situation. She even spoke about the hornets and the ants, and she says she can tell that they are also desperate for water. Now, Corsica is such a strong country with such a strong environment. There are many plants out there that are quite harmful if you don't know what you're doing. And when it comes to hornets, just one sting's enough to kill you. So you have to be really careful. The scorpions you need to be mindful of when you go into a room. Make sure there aren't any you might tread on. They don't kill you, but it's pretty bad. So her entire environment is becoming parched in a way she's not experienced for well over a quarter of a century. That's quite something to deal with. But this all brings me to what I'd call climate change, weather modification. Now, the mainstream narrative would have you believe there's something called climate change that's being caused by human beings, and it's all very dramatic and it's all very worrying. And there's another narrative that says actually the weather's been modified throughout the world for more than 100 years. A lot of evidence to support this assertion. Bit of an interesting one. In fact, I've even seen photographs of aeroplanes from the 1920s, post-World War I, but pre-World War II. You can tell by the kind of aeroplane it is, those who know about such things. Producing a very crude form of chemtrail that actually was so damaging they couldn't use it because it destroyed two ships and the fish in the sea, supposedly. So what I'm saying is, what we've got going on at the moment is we've got bizarre weather conditions, but we've had bizarre weather conditions for so long, for longer than I've been alive, you know. Quite a thought, isn't it? So I don't really know what actual normal weather would be, but all I know is it's been getting weirder and weirder. It's absolutely clear. That's what's been going on. Increasing weather weirdness. So one way to look at this climate change is maybe it's weather modification. Maybe that's another way to look at it. Who knows? But I'm aware that there are parts of the world that normally, like the UK, August is one of our wet months in the year. That's been for years. For years I used to help run camps, and we actually stopped operating the camps season in August because it was pointless. It was just going to be pissing down and damp and unpleasant. So they shifted to a month earlier finish. So when it comes to weather, we are experiencing so much profound change at the moment. There are floods in places which are normally dry. There are droughts in places which are normally sopping wet. And really what I'm saying is, what's all this about, eh? What do you reckon? What do you reckon is going on in the bigger picture with regard to climate change, weather modification? Do your own research, come to your own conclusions. All the love to you.